Okay, welcome everyone. It's August 11th, 2022, and I'm opening the select board meeting of August 11th. We're going to have an unusual long executive session to start with, followed by an open session after that. So we won't start the open session until 7:30 is the target time to start it. So I'd like to ask the town administrator to please read the executive session agenda.
Good evening. So the board will enter into executive session for item 1, which is to discuss strategy with respect to threatened potential litigation. If the chair so declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the select board in the town, and the chair does so declare, to discuss the town library pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 3, and 7, in Suffolk Construction versus DCAM 449 Mass 444, parentheses 2007. Item number 2 is pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A and 6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property where the chair declares that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the select board, and to obtain legal advice pursuant to Suffolk Construction versus DCAM 449 Mass 444, parentheses 2007, lease of the Sherborn Community Center. Item number 3 is to obtain legal advice pursuant to Suffolk Construction versus DCAM 449 Mass 444, parentheses 2007, regarding the deed restriction regarding farm road homes.
Excellent. So do I have a motion on the executive session agenda? Any revisions or?
Move approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Marion?
Marion,
yeah, that was a lip read aye though. George? Eric?
Aye.
And Paul?
Aye.
Okay, and as noted, I do declare that an executive session is required for these 3 agenda items that were read by the town administrator. And so I need a second and a roll call vote. I move that we move into executive session with the recording off and discuss these topics.
Second.
Okay, Marion?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I am I as well. So let me get the right people in the room. Okay, everybody. We're operating on Central Standard Time, not Eastern Time now, so we're right on schedule. I very much apologize. I personally didn't anticipate how long some of these executive sessions would take, but they're, as you can tell from the draft agenda, they're very complex topics that are important to the town right now. So it's vital that we had a little bit more time. So thank you for bearing with us. And I'd like to ask the town administrator to now read the open session portion of the select board meeting tonight.
Good evening. So after I read the agenda, the select board can vote to amend or approve the agenda. There is a public comment section if anybody has one. Items may be taken out of order and the topics not anticipated 40 hours in advance can be added. Excuse me. Item 1 is the consent agenda. That's the payroll warrant for the interim town administrator. Select board minutes of June 9th, 16th, and June 30th. And our next scheduled meeting date is August 25th. Item number 2 is the Library Board of Trustees. Brian Conley is here to give an update on the library. Item number 3 is consideration of appointments. We have the Council on Aging and Pamela Sampson as a new appointment for a term to expire on June 15th, 2024. Conservation Commission, there are 2 applicants for 1 vacant seat. Jacob Strauss for a term to expire June 15th, 2024, and Jonathan Hudson Walker for a term to expire June 15th, 2024, both of which are new applicants. The Conservation Commission is here. Michael Lesser and Courtney Ack, co-chairs, and going to give an update on the agent's position. Town Clerk Jackie Morris is here for a consideration of yearly appointment of election workers, consideration of signing the September 6, 2022 state primary warrant, and consideration of vote for the September 6, 2022 state primary police assignments. Town Treasurer Heidi Doyle is here for consideration of bond anticipation note. And then item number 7 is consideration of joining the Metro West Regional Collaborative Region of MAPC that Marion Nutra has requested. And number 8 under routine business is select board and town interim reports.
So can I make an amendment?
Yes, go ahead, Paul.
So when I was reading the minutes, I saw that our finance director's term expires on August 9th. And I think we ought to extend it by 60 days because otherwise we'd have no finance director.
That makes sense. So that's something we can do quickly too. Why don't we just do that right before we—
Can you add it to the consent agenda?
Yes.
Yeah, can we do that, Paul? Is that appropriate?
Sure. I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. Doesn't need discussion.
Okay.
It's in the minutes that her term expired yesterday or the day before.
Good catch. All right. So with that amendment, we're adding extension of the finance director for another 60 days to the bottom of the consent agenda. And you'll note the select board minutes, she sent a slightly tweaked version right before the meeting, like an hour before the meeting, where there's a couple typos in it. So do I have a motion with respect to the consent agenda, which is the payroll warrant, the minutes, the next scheduled meeting of August 25th, and the finance director?
Well, first, we need to approve the agenda, the amended agenda.
Oh yeah, I can always forget doing that.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Second, Marion? That's a good
Marion,
eye.
you're muted.
George?
Again.
Yeah.
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I am I as well. So now we've approved the agenda. Do I have a motion with respect to the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, Marion?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I as well. I am I as well. Thank you very much. It's easy for me to say. Thank you, Deb. So now we're going to have an update from Brian Conley on progress on the project of the library.
Great, thanks, Jeff. And in the interest of time, I'll be brief, but happy to take any questions at the end. So I had done an update last in the public session for the select board on April 7th. And since that time, in the last 4 months, the asbestos remediation and ductwork fabrication and reinstallation work is tracking on schedule. And we're increasingly confident that the building will be completed in late October and would be able to reopen late November, early December. So Bristol Engineering had completed all the remediation, and Apex is in there now. Right now, they're looking at having the ductwork completed by the end of this month, early September. And then we would also have to put down carpet because the carpet was all removed as part of the asbestos cleanup process. And that carpet installation would start on the schedule today as mid-September. And then additional finishing work would be needed. We did give a tour to Lauren Stara of the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners on August 2nd, and she is in charge of all the buildings and construction for libraries in Massachusetts, and she was quite pleased with the progress that has been made over the last 4 months. On the project budget and funding side, I'm happy to say there's been no change to the overall project cost since we last reported out on April 7th, which we said it was going to be $14.5 million in total. And that was also the number was included in the advisory committee briefing sent out in advance of the town meeting. And just to remind people, roughly $2 million of that is for the asbestos abatement as well as litigation costs, neither of which was in the original project. We feel for the building committee and the work we're doing that the remaining work left is significant. The risk profile of getting the project done is significantly decreased. Aside from the asbestos removal and ductwork replacement, most of the other work that's been taking place is finishing work within the building and such. When I mentioned the 14.6 million. Through the end of July, we've spent 12.2 million. And we're going to be getting some additional bills for that ductwork finishing work. So the funding, and I think Heidi might touch on this later, either at this meeting or at a future meeting, but the funding approved to date by the town is 12.6 million. We've spent 12.2, so we'll be needing to look to fund the remaining amount through long-term bonding. And then also in June, the library trustees voted to contribute $320,000 from the library's private endowments to donate to the town to help fund the project. That represents about 70% of the discretionary endowment that the trustees have. In addition, the trustees made their fiscal year 2022 contribution to the town of $62,000 in June and turned back roughly $57,000 from the fiscal year 2022 operating budget because our expense run rate was much less by not being in the building. We're continuing to seek private donations. I think last time I mentioned we received through private grants $275,000 in 2022, including $75,000 to fund all the landscaping that would be taking place. That landscaping's been deferred because of the drought, but we'll attempt to do that later in the fall. And we'll also have an application in for an additional $200,000 for operating expense offsets that we're submitting in September. So we continue to try to support the project through some private donations and fundings. And then just finally to finish up, we completed our kind of operating activities report we do for the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners for fiscal year ending in June of 2022. And despite not being in the building and working through the challenges of COVID and the like, just a couple of statistics I'll give you that the total programming attendance is up 50% year over year. The ebook checkouts are up 30% year over year. Website usage is up 20% year over year. And non-resident circulation, so books we have that residents outside of Sherborn are requesting and picking up and getting, is up 50%. And that last number will help us a bit with some state funding. So the team at the library has done a great job of keeping engagement and being creative and doing all sorts of programs to keep momentum going as we separately try to finish get the building finished and reopened. Jeff, any questions?
No, I was going to add one comment though, given that Sean's on here, is I just somewhat related to the library is that we finished the sidewalk along Sanger Street, which is really including a new walkway across to Pilgrim Church. So I think it gives particularly seniors in the Abbey Road project at Woodhaven the ability to walk to the library now in a safer manner. So I think that enhances the library as well.
Yeah, Jeff, I would agree. And that came through the Complete Streets grant. So it's, but it very much is complementary to the library construction.
Yep. So thank you, Sean. So does anyone on the select board have any comments? I see Frank Hauk has his hand raised. Do you want to contribute something, Frank?
I just had a question of clarification. I thought I heard Brian Conley mention the completion of the building happening at the end of November and the move-in to be in the beginning of December. And that was the original forecast. Then I thought I heard Brian go into some of the more recent updates. And I didn't, the clarifying question I'm asking is the move-in dates and completion dates still the same, end of November, beginning of December, or has that been pushed out a little bit as a result of that?
Yeah, no, so we think the building will be completed, substantial completion at the end of October, and then move in during the month of November and, reopening towards the end of November. Given that's a Thanksgiving week, it may be a reopening in early December.
Okay, great, thank you, good luck.
It's a phase. It's actually like a month and a half move-in. It's a phase that we have things stored all over the place, new things and things that were put in storage for the project. So it's a lot to move in. Anybody else want to have anything on the library? All right. Thank you very much, Brian. Let's go on to consideration of appointments. And the first one is Council on Aging. And
Jeff,
go ahead.
Sue Kelleher had to leave, and so didn't Pam Sampson. So
Okay,
I can just let the board know that there are currently 6 members, and the Council on Aging can have up to 9. And there was a resident from Sherborn Meadows that left the board, and Pam Sampson is new from Sherborn Meadows. So the committee had voted to bring Pam's name forward and would like to ask the board to consider her appointment for a term for 3 years.
So moved.
Thank you.
okay. All in favor, Marion,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Barrett,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I am I as well. Thank you, Diane. And then the next one we have is the Conservation Commission with 2 applicants for 1 seat.
Yes, we do. We currently have 1 seat open, and we have 2 applicants that are in front of you tonight.
Can I ask a question about that first before we? Why is there only 1 seat open? I thought there were only 5 people currently on the Conservation Commission.
No, there's 7. There's always been 7.
So I'm saying there's 7. I know there's 7 seats,
Yeah.
but I
No,
know there's Michael, Courtney, Carol, and the
Jessica-
and Matt and
Jessica's still on there.
oh, Jessica's still.
sometimes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
There are 6.
That's the other
I
one,
was
yeah.
mistaken.
Right.
Yep. Am I stating that correctly, Michael?
Yes.
Okay. So I think both applicants are here. Do we want to hear each of them speak for a minute? They're both new, so why don't we let each of them have a chance to speak? Is that all right? Do you want to go first, Jacob?
Sure. So just a little bit of a brief introduction. So I've lived in Sherborn since 2017. I'm a software engineer by trade. My wife is a biologist. She teaches at Curry College, and I work for a cloud computing large public company that I'm sure all of you have heard of. And what some of the things that I've grown an interest in since moving here are all the looking at invasive species and particularly plants, and sort of figuring out how we might manage those, or what some of the challenges there are. I have a lot of interest in climate change, and sort of looking at more local aspects of that is entirely new for me. It's not something I have a background in, but it's clearly something that will come up and become increasingly important over the coming years. And I don't have a background in construction or environmental science, but a lot of the things I've worked on in the software research, I expect it to carry over to other fields.
Okay, thank you. Jonathan, you're next.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. So Jonathan Hudson Walker, co-owner of Silwood Organic Farm. Been a resident of Sherborn for almost 30 years at this point. My wife and I own the farm. It's about 100 acres on Western Sherborn. We've got wetland areas, woodland areas. We're a certified organic produce farm. And I've had personally a good amount of experience with the Conservation Commission. I think my interest in the positions to bring a more balanced perspective to the Conservation Commission. I'm very familiar with the Wetlands Protection Act, intimately familiar, for better or for worse, and familiar with natural heritage. You know, we're familiar with the Natural Resource Conservation Service. Got a personal relationship with the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project. A lot of familiarity with the permitting process, notice of intent process, the order of conditions process. And as I say, my goal will be to bring more of a balanced residents' perspective to the commission, which is, in my experience, been very much enforcement focused in my own personal experience.
Okay, any discussion or recommendations from the board?
I'd like to hear a recommendation from the Conservation Commission members that are here. We usually get input from the commission themselves.
We have Michael and Courtney. Says one or both of you want to speak?
We did get a letter of support.
You can go ahead, Michael.
Sure. I sent in a letter of support for Jacob. He's been attending the meetings of the last number of months, as well as training, and has participated in there and has shown engagement in the issues that we have to address and interest in those issues. So I sent a letter of support for his membership.
I would also second that support. You know, just as one other conservation commissioner, he's even come on site visits, and you know the questions that he's asked after trainings and stuff. He's very much engaged. So it's really exciting to see someone that's very interested in learning the ropes.
Okay, any discussion among the select board?
Yeah, I'll weigh in. I think it's good to see a new face, someone who's really has shown, you know, has walked the walk to show he's interested. And I'm sure Mr. Hudson Walker is interested too, because we've seen him at Conservation Commission meetings. I would worry about appointing a resident, even though he may do a good job, but you know, had a very contentious relationship with the commission. So I think that may not be a good place to start. And for that reason, I would favor Mr. Strauss.
So are you making a motion?
I can, but I'll let someone else speak.
Does any of the other three want to weigh in? I would concur with that, and I would, if we consider that a motion, I would second it, that I would recommend that we appoint Jacob Strauss to the Conservation Commission.
I would just say I'm going to agree with you, but I do like the idea of somebody in the agricultural community being on the Conservation Commission. I think in this particular case, Jonathan, I have a lot of respect for you, but I think with the nature of the issues that we've had between you and the Conservation Commission over the last year, it might not be the appropriate time, but I also think it's very important that we do have agricultural representation on the Conservation Commission going forward.
I think that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing that in the Southwest, where, you know, they're trying to figure out how Lake Mead's water is going to get distributed between agriculture and residents. So it's very important. All right, so we have a second, and so I'd like to take a vote on appointing Jacob Strauss. Marion?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
So I can't hear much of what's going on, but
really?
it sounds like what this
we're
is
voting.
for.
Is my voice not coming through? Is anyone else having trouble hearing?
No,
none of me.
We're voting on the Conservation Commission, 1 vacancy, 2 applicants, and it was moved that we appoint Jacob Strauss for a term expiring June 15, 2024.
And everybody else has voted for Strauss?
Yes.
All right, so I'll do the same.
Okay, and I am as well. So
I like Jonathan. He's a great guy, but
absolutely. Okay, thank you for both. Thanks, Jonathan and Jacob, for your interest, and we appreciate your coming to talk to us tonight too.
Thank you all.
Thank you. And next is the Conservation Commission, Michael and Courtney, talking about the agent's position.
Great. Well, I think I gave you guys a pretty straight to the point summary in the packet, but just to remind everyone where we're at, the search for a new conservation agent has been going since mid-June. We have advertised in all the usual places, MACC, MMA. We've sent out notifications through our DEP circuit rider. Like, we've pursued a lot of professional avenues, and we've received a very limited number of applications, and the great majority of them are not really what we need for this job right now, which is somebody has experience as an agent or as a wetlands professional, say at the other end of the other side of the table, you know, they were putting in applications for people and working with commissions on behalf of applicants. That's the kind of experience that we need. It's not the kind of job where you can train someone as you go. I'm sure everybody's aware things are extremely busy. You hear from what's going on in Board of Health, lots of development and whatnot. This is, according to the DEP circuit rider, this is like the worst conservation agent job market they've ever seen. They've never seen so many open positions. And, you know, we've talked to some conservation agents. We've done a salary survey, seen what other positions are open, which ones are not getting filled. You know, and we've been working with Vicky from Personnel Board, and really our salary right now, which is at $32.80, is really not going to attract a good candidate. I just saw a posting yesterday for a conservation administrative assistant that was paying that same salary. And so we need a professional. I mean, this is like a building inspector position. We have a lot going on. Residents need help to get things done. We want to move permits through like efficiently, and it's difficult to do without an experienced agent. So at this point, you know, the number we've come up with is, you know, kind of like a range going up to $40 an hour, which I know it's a big jump, but things are pretty crazy out there right now. You know, we've talked to agents that are getting paid quite a bit more than that, but we feel that like that range up to $40 will at least put us in a competitive place and get some attention to our ad, because otherwise it's like, I think Sherborn is an attractive location for a conservation agent to come work. So let me just pull this up here. We've also, you know, revised the ad just to make it more specifically relevant to the job description, because a lot of the applicants we received don't have the required skills. So we've just spruced it up based on the job description, and we're gonna move forward with trying to advertise at a higher position, so at a higher pay rate, excuse me. So that's kind of where we're at. It's a struggle right now.
Oh, I'll add a little that part of just this update is just to let you know that we're basically putting the salary ranges to a higher level to be more competitive with the other advertisers are. And just to let you know about that. Obviously, we would hire and pay based on their experience to be financially prudent for the town. And the other part is just to say that we're probably going to be, I don't think hopefully not too expensive, but we'll probably expand the search and using other things such as more LinkedIn or Indeed or even ZipRecruiter, that I think we're going to try to go in less conventional ways for advertising the job to reach hopefully a larger applicant pool. So it's that kind of expansion of how we're advertising and the broader range. That's the main 2 points to just let you know that we're going to do that hopefully will address our staffing need.
Question?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Paul.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So the purpose of this agenda item is just to inform us, or do you want a motion, which I'm happy to make, to approve up to $40?
I'm not sure. It's a questionable issue whether it's your role to do that as opposed to work it out with personnel. I'm not sure that we didn't put forth a motion because I think it's something that we work out as to what's an appropriate salary with personnel. And I don't think I want the select board to necessarily have to get involved unless we run into a quandary around that.
Yeah.
It's mainly just an update, and I think that's the appropriate way to do it at this point.
I feel like the only time we would need to vote on something is if you guys were requesting like a reserve fund transfer to pay money,
which you probably may need. I just
right. But until they actually hire somebody, there's no need to vote on that yet. So
exactly.
All right.
But I just wanted to give an update, let you guys know what's going on, and if you have questions or if you have ideas of where to find an agent, please.
Well, can I make a question? Can I just follow up on the question I asked? So I am in support of your having the best agent we can find at a reasonable price. So I support the notion that you're going to broaden the search, refine the ad, and if necessary, increase the compensation in order to obtain a good employee for the town. So I support it.
Thank you.
Ditto. All right. Thank you, Courtney and Michael. Appreciate it. Keep chin up. You got a great job in sustaining our Conservation Commission. We're really grateful for all the effort you put into doing that. So, yeoman's work, more than yeoman's work.
You're welcome.
So next is Jackie, a town clerk, with 3 issues on election workers on the state primary warrant, which I think I already signed for you, whatever day that was, last night, I think. Was that what you had me sign? And then the consideration of the vote on September 6th.
Yeah, so there's 3 things. So I caught all of you. The warrant is signed, but you need to vote to accept it so that we can I can sign it and have our constable Ron Buckler come and sign it and post it around town. The second thing is just approving the election workers. And then the third one is the state has made changes to the way police officers are used in the precincts. They now need to be needs to be voted by the select board on how many officers we should be using in the precincts. My recommendation, since we only have the 1 precinct and frankly, we're right near the police station. So if there are any issues, I'm not too concerned about having someone there quickly, but I think 1 police officer in the precinct during the election is still appropriate unless you guys think differently. So I'm asking basically for that you just vote to approve 1 precinct for all of the elections so that I don't have to keep coming back to you for every election.
Okay. Do you feel we should vote on these individually?
Yeah, I think a motion for each one would be appropriate. Yes.
Okay,
so I have a motion.
Go ahead, George.
I'm just going to go in order that we have them in the packet. I'll move to approve the list of election workers as presented by town clerk for appointment date of September 1st, 2022 to August 31st, 2022.
It's actually, sorry, there was
2023,
a
sorry.
2023. Sorry about that.
Yep. No problem.
I second that.
Good. And there, I think, just so the audience knows, I think there's around 54 people on the list in that ballpark. So we have a second. Marion?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I as well. Do I have a motion on consideration of signing the state primary warrant?
Well, first, let's do the next. I'm literally going through in order.
Oh, all right.
Okay. The next one is to move to approve a sufficient number of police officers, not less than 1, at the polling location at every election therein to preserve order and protect the election officers, supervisors from any interference with their duties, and to aid in enforcing the laws relating to elections as required by Section 72 of MGL Chapter 54, which was changed in Section 13 of Chapter 92 of the Acts of 2022. Further move to designate the police chief the authority to assign specific police officers according to scheduling and availability. The town clerk will advise the police chief on the location and time the officer is needed.
So under discussion.
Go ahead, Paul.
So some time ago, I was told by the governor that why were there armed men with guns at police stations, at polling stations, that he felt that people of color felt that the presence of police officers with guns was intimidating to people of color who would expect to be shot without reason, and so on and so on. And to fix that possible intimidation, the idea was that the old law simply left it to the town clerk, but the decision as to whether or not the police are armed with weapons of lethal force is up to the chief of police, and the chief of police reports to the Board of Selectmen. So fundamentally, if you believe that having armed police officers at polling stations is a form of white supremacy, then one of the opportunities created by this change in the law is to allow for a decision to be made about whether or not those people are going to be armed. The fact is, we've also moved to have mail-in ballots and other ways to increase participation by minorities, so they don't have to encounter things that they feel intimidating. So part of the issue has already been addressed, but the motion that we have here doesn't address the sort of the fundamental issue that some people feel uncomfortable with armed men, and to quote the governor, that guns and ballots don't mix.
Well, I find it offensive that you just referred to white supremacy with police officers having guns. I really do. I find that very offensive. To use that term is offensive. Please don't do that. I think it's anti-police, and please don't go there with white supremacy. That's not appropriate.
And certainly not reflective of our police department.
No, yeah. Thank you.
And I would also add, you're not just men. We have a female sergeant also.
Exactly.
But I mean, I think we don't have Chief Galvin here, but I don't know that I would recommend taking any action on that. You making us aware of a concern, but there have been in other parts of the country dangerous incidents at election places. So you certainly don't want to intimidate voters, but we also don't want to have a situation where something gets out of hand and the officers aren't prepared for it.
I think it's disrespectful to our police saying we don't trust his judgment on this. So I have a motion on the table. I don't know if anybody seconded it or not.
I'll second it.
Just one final comment. I'm just reporting the background. I'm not expressing any opinions one way or the other.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Marion?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm aye as well. Thank you. You want to do the third one? You're on a roll, George.
Yeah, I've got them right here in front of me. So I'll move to approve the September 6th, 2022 state primary warrant as presented per MGL Chapter 39, Section 10.
Second. Marion?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm aye as well. Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. And we don't need to do the other thing, Diane, because we have signed it.
Correct.
Okay.
We're all set. Thank you
Thanks.
very much.
So is Heidi still hiding here somewhere, or are you, Heidi? There you
I'm
are.
here. Yeah.
So you're up. Bond
Okay,
anticipation note.
I'm back. Yes. So this is for a 1-year short-term note. So it's a bond anticipation note. And it's for items that we have just voted on this last town meeting in 22, which included the stormwater compliance for 200,000, the roadway management for 500,000, the Pine Hill School floors for 68,000, and the Woodhaven windows for 230,000, which we are hoping to get an earmark for that, but we don't know when the earmark's coming in. So we're going to use a short-term borrowing because all these projects, we're looking to expend them in the next probably 6 months or so. So we would like to get the money on board. This also includes 1.9 million for the library project for the extra costs that we expect to incur to completion. So I'm looking for a move to go out to bid for a bond anticipation note for 2,898,000, the library building project and the ATM 22 capital items as requested by the town treasurer.
Is there any discussion of that? Does someone want to make a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we're moving 2,898,000 in bond anticipation note. A second. Marion?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm aye as well. Thank you very much, Heidi.
Thank you.
Go get them. All right, Marion, you're up. Consideration of the Metro West Regional Collaborative Region. You got to come up with a better acronym. That's a mouthful.
Well, the acronym is MWRC, but that gets so confusing. There's MBTA, there's et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to share my screen to do this one. It's quite short, but a picture will help. There we go. As you know, Sherborn, the town of Sherborn is part of a organization called the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. You guys on select board know this, but this is for the general public. It's a planning organization centered in Boston that looks to do regional planning for the region around Boston to coordinate efforts in the various towns. It's quite a good organization. And we are a member. We have been a member of MAPC automatically. You can see we're down here. This little purple patch here is Sherborn. This is what's considered by MAPC the entire Boston metro region. And just to make it more workable, they long ago divided the region into smaller collaboratives, smaller regional collaboratives. There's Boston, there's the North Shore, Inner Core, South Shore, et cetera, et cetera. Sherborn, back in the day when this divvying up was done, opted to be in the Southwest Planning Council. And that's this group of towns down here, mostly centered along Route 495. It also includes Millis and Sherborn. So you see Sherborn sort of sticks up into the next region like a thumb. Some towns actually have opted to join 2 regions. The only significance of being in one of these regions is that there's a monthly get-together of planning board or town planners or whatever. It varies from region to region, but each region does its own organization. So we're now a member of the Southwest Advisory Planning Council, and I'm not proposing that we leave that because our town planner, Gino, is quite active there. I think he's the chairman of it right now. But I'm proposing with my co-representative to MAPC, Seth Malloy, that we join the Metro West Regional Collaborative. And here's why. If we take a closer look at a bigger picture here, Sherborn, as I said, kind of sticks up into that region, and the towns that we really interact with the most, other than Dover, Natick, Framingham, Ashland, and Holliston, surround us basically. And some of us found ourselves going to the Metro West regional meetings from time to time because they were so relevant to what we were interested in. The Southwest Collaborative is also good, and we've learned some things there, but each collaborative is self-organized and each has a sort of different flavor. The Southwest Advisory Collaborative is their regular meetings are populated mostly by town planners. And the town planners learn a lot from the central MAPC and the state. This group, we've learned by going to their meetings, is mostly populated by select board and planning board members from these various towns. In fact, the leadership right now of MWRC are 2 select board members from Ashland and Holliston, and a planning board member from Wellesley, and a Framingham deputy director. So it's kind of a different level of talk. And both Seth Malloy and I have found that extremely useful. I think what might have swayed the decision to go with the Southwest Planning Council back in the day, and this is just a guess, is that the Metro West group actually charges dues. It's about a couple $1,000s a year, which is not much, but they do some good things. I've been to 2 of their regional trail collaboratives. They try to cooperate on regional trails and other things. Last week, I went to a gathering of various officials from these towns in Ashland, organized by this group. I met an aide of Senator Spilka there from Holliston. I found it really quite useful. So what I'm proposing is that we opt to join the Metro West Regional Collaborative. They have invited us to join. And we can still be a member of the Southwest group. We can have dual membership. That way the town planner goes to this, some of us go to that, and we get the best of both worlds. I don't think there's any reason not to do this, except that it's going to cost us a couple $1,000s in dues. And the dues go toward the events that they have to get select board and planning board members and town planners together. And in my experience so far, it's totally worth it, but it's really up to you to decide whether you want to do this. And if so, it just takes a letter to Mark Drazen, the head of MAPC, and I'm sure he'll approve it. And then we'll see how we want to pay the dues.
So you're saying you basically want to give us green stripes, in other words.
Exactly.
So I'm leading it off here. I would very much encourage us to do this. And I don't know that it gets so much into transportation, but we're also doing the whole MBTA initiative. And I had a call with Chris Owen about that this morning. So more MBTA, we're sort of a adjacent MBTA community, but we're adjacent to Ashland and Natick, for example, who have their primary MBTA community. So that could benefit us. And then I look on here and I see the rail trail, the Holliston Rail Trail connects with Sherborn. So there's certainly, adjacencies and complementary reasons there. So I completely agree with your recommendation. Does anyone else want to, Eric, you're probably pretty knowledgeable about this too.
Yeah, a little bit too much. I've been thinking about this and looking into it. So actually, I'm occasionally a voting member of the MAPC on the MPO, which distributes, infrastructure funds. So I'm actually going to have to step off this one.
Oh, okay. George or Paul, do you have any?
No, I think this makes sense. I'm going to defer to Marion's judgment on this.
Okay. So I move. Go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say that way back when I was a member of the Southwest Advisory Planning Committee, SWAP, and had a lot of fun meetings with them. But I also would defer to Marion's views on this.
Well, this way we can go to either or both. it doesn't preclude still being active in SWAP. We just found that we were missing some good stuff by not, being in the group with Natick, Framingham, Ashland, and Holliston.
Makes sense.
So I would move that we authorize the expenditure to join the Metro West Regional Collaborative, Metro West one. Is there a second?
Second.
Second,
Okay.
but where's the money coming from? When you said,
well, I don't think we would know right now. We don't know the amount for one.
Well, I don't think we can authorize the expenditure. I think we should authorize joining, and then once we have the bill and need to pay it, I think then we figure out like whether we have to put a reserve fund.
That makes sense. Diane has a comment though.
I believe that we may have money in our dues and membership line item under the select board's budget.
Okay,
great.
Thank you, Diane.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. Marion.
Aye.
George.
Aye.
Paul.
aye.
And I as well. That one is 4-0. So thank you very much. Let's see if we can get Eric back here. You want to text him, Diane? I don't know if he's listening in or not. There he is. I didn't know if you're listening in. Does anyone have, so we now completed item 6 or 7. Are there any select board reports?
Sure.
Go for it, Paul.
The final regs have come out on MBTA communities. And I'm hoping that Gino Carlucci and the planning board would take that and run with it. I sent it to the board members and to Chris Owen. Just off the top of my head, what they've done is created a new category for small towns. And they've said we only have to do 25% of our existing housing, which reduces the impact on Sherborn from 750 houses to about 360 or so houses. But I would defer to Marion and to the planning board, but I did want people to know that the regs have been finalized and that's where they're going. And the other thing I want to say is that yesterday we decided to make an offer on a new town administrator. We had a special meeting and it culminated in our making a decision and taking a vote.
And Marion, you're going to add something, or?
I was going to add something to thank Paul first for sending out the MBTA Communities Act news. That was really useful. I talked to Gino afterwards and learned that there is, or as you said in your email, Paul, there's a webinar on September 9th, and I know the planning board will be there. The planning board plans to discuss this at their first meeting after September 9th. And the next, at the next opportunity, they're going to propose a joint meeting with select board.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a joint meeting or an update, but I had a call with Chris Owen this morning. So he and Gino are already registered for the webinar, which is, as you said, I think it is the 8th of September, I believe, 8th or 9th. And so what they want to do is before they come to the select board, they want to have the next meeting of the planning board so they can discuss it with them before the select board. So that meeting is on September 20th and we happen to meet on September 22nd. So I've asked Chris to come update us on September 22nd on this. But thank you for keeping us in the state loop, Paul.
Sure.
Anyone else select board report? I'm gonna do one bragging one. We had I don't do my Boy Scout things all the time, but it's a community thing also, which is we had 2 boys from Framingham, twin brothers, that didn't feel the troop in Framingham was very good, so they joined our troop, and they're now close to being Eagle Scouts. So they decided, even though they joined our troop, that they wanted to give back to the community of Framingham. So they each did an Eagle project in Framingham. One was teaching disadvantaged youth in the basketball camp that they ran, and the other was a clothing food bank for children and older children in the high school that couldn't afford clothing all the time. So they each had an Eagle project that gave back to the city of Framingham, which is where they live. So we were fortunate, and Diane got to meet them. They're also superstars on the Framingham basketball team. They're crazy tall. And so we were a part of it because I signed their Eagle applications in the selectman's office. So we make sure that we had in the loop there. So that's all I had. And
congratulations to them.
Yeah, no, it's a good, you'll get to meet them at our next ceremony, Paul. So I don't have anything else. Does somebody want to make, do you have any town administrator reports, Diane? You haven't been doing anything for the last 2 weeks, have you?
No, I haven't. No. I've been trying to stay in the background, to be honest with you. I'm better back there.
Okay. Well, do I have a motion with respect to adjourning the meeting?
So moved.
And seconded.
Second. Okay, Marion.
Aye.
George.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
And I as well. So thank you guys. This was a good session. 2 nights in a row now. We're on a roll. Thank you very much.
Good night.